Welcome to Chasing Truth. I've titled this show today, Gentiles, Thou Shalt Not Do the Torah. Yes, that's right. I want to talk to you about Gentiles and the Torah. In the Messianic Jewish Movement, Gentiles are encouraged to support Israel, to support the promises made to Israel, to support the land, to support the Messianic Jewish Movement as a Jewish movement, even uniting with them. But if you as a Gentile begin to do the Torah, watch out. All Sheol is going to break loose. I've seen this over and over and over. In fact, it's been going on for the last 30 plus years. I joined this movement in the late 80s. And so I've seen this develop over a long period of time. So what's all the emotion about when it comes to the Torah? Why is that so passionate for everyone? I thought initially, coming into this movement, that my Messianic Jewish brothers and sisters would be honored and supported and feel somehow lifted up by embracing the Shabbat and the dietary laws and the festivals. But as I did that, it was exactly the opposite. The opposite took place. There was just so much emotion surrounding this. So what's the rub? As I've dialogued with Messianic Jewish leaders for many, many years now, I think I finally get it. Here's what I understand. I may be wrong. This is what I understand from years of dialogue with Messianic Jewish leaders. Not all of them, most of them. The rub is this. It's our Torah. The Torah belongs to us. God gave the Jewish people the Torah, and you're not Jewish. Therefore, hands off. Don't do it. It's not yours. Go do what you do. Whatever the Gentiles do, whatever that is, go do that. That's your stuff. Go do the Gentile stuff. We'll do the Torah. In fact, let me give you a story. It's amusing now. It wasn't at the time, but we had scheduled this celebrated Messianic Jewish scholar to come and speak to us at our congregation decades ago, and this was early in my pastorate. And so we picked him up at the airport, and there was three of us, three of my staff. We picked him up, and we're all wearing tassels, of course. And our tassels are not looking very orthodox or traditional in any sense. They had the blue cord, of course, but they also had some other colors. So, you know what? It was certainly alarming for him when he saw those, especially on Gentiles. You know, just the tassels themselves were not traditional. Number two, what are you guys doing with them? You're like wearing them on your pants. What are you guys are like Meshugana? So we were off to a bad start from the word go. I picked him up the next morning, and when I picked him up, I was wearing black pants and a white shirt and a black sports coat and had my kippah on, and he came out, he was just shocked. He's just looking at me, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean, what am I doing?" He said, "Look at yourself." So I looked at myself, and I said, "What?" He says, "You're dressed like a Jew." I said, "So what?" He says, "You're not Jewish." So I thought for a moment, and as I did, I looked at him. He had no kippah. He had no tassels. He was wearing a tie. I mean, there was nothing Jewish about his dress whatsoever. So I said, "Well, what about you?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Look at yourself." So he looked at himself. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're dressed like a Gentile." He said, "So what?" I said, "Well, you're a Jew." And then I said, "Look, if you'll dress like a Jew, I'll dress like a Gentile." He says, "Get in the car." He was all upset. "Get in the car." So there we were in the car, mad, on our way to do the service. It was so awkward. And then we got home, and instead of going in and eating a beautiful meal, we sat up there and got into this huge, passionate discussion about whether or not the fourth commandment, remember the Sabbath, is something that Gentiles should be concerned about. Suffice it to say, this whole issue about Gentiles doing the Torah was certainly very unpopular with this particular Messianic Jewish leader. Now, since that time and over the years, I've talked with numerous other Messianic Jewish leaders, and most of them are always upset about Messianic Gentiles doing Torah. And the reason is, and it's getting clearer and clearer, the reason it is because many Messianic Jewish leaders consider these issues related to the Torah and these core central values within the Torah, they consider them as being, markers of Jewish identity. And therefore, when a Messianic Gentile keeps the Torah, for them, it's a type of like theft, identity theft, that they're somehow stealing the identity of the Jewish people. For many of these Messianic Jewish leaders, it's more upsetting than even replacement theology. Think about it. Stealing Jewish identity. That's a big issue. Okay, I get that. I understand this. But the question we never seem to get to, due to the passion surrounding the dialogue, is where did the Scriptures actually state that the Torah is only for the Jew? Where is that? Please, someone help me, right? In the weeks ahead, I'm going to share some passages that posit the idea that the Torah was given to Israel, but also intended later to go to the nations. In other words, it wasn't for the Jew alone forever, world without end, amen. Actually, it was to the Jew first, but then through the Jews, intended to go to the nations, to the Gentiles. I'm going to close with one of those passages. Isaiah 2 and verse 3. The word which Isaiah the son of Amoz saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Now it will come about that in the last days the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as the chief of the mountains and will be raised over the hills, and all the nations will stream to it. All the nations, the Gentiles, will stream to it. And many people will come and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob." The people are Gentiles. They're wanting to go up to the God of the Jews, that he, the God of the Jews, might instruct them concerning his ways, which is a synonym for the Torah, that we may walk in its paths, not only know his ways, learn his ways, the ways that were given to the Jews, his chosen people, but that we might walk in those same paths, that we might walk in the Torah. It goes on to say, "For the Torah will go forth from Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." In other words, it's not going to stay there. It's going to break forth and go out to the nations. What a beautiful and powerful word this is from Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 3. So this mantra, to the Gentiles, that thou shalt not do the Torah, well, it's about to be exposed as a misunderstanding, a long-standing misunderstanding of who the Gentiles are and what God actually promised to them through Abraham. The fact is, God has and is expanding his people, Israel. He's adopting other children that are not Jewish and adding them to his household. Of course, this will cause some jealousy among the Jewish people who were the first to be chosen, the first to be adopted. In fact, they might even misconstrue this as replacement or even identity theft. I get that. But the truth of the matter is, we, the Gentiles, we too are chosen and adopted as God's children in Messiah. And we are not leaving, but rather settling in for the long haul in this young Messianic movement. Note well, I did not say Messianic Jewish Movement. I said Messianic Movement. Why? Because it is no longer exclusively Jewish now that Yeshua the Messiah has invited the Gentiles to come in. Well, that's it. Thanks for chasing truth with me on this controversial matter. Please subscribe to this channel, comment below, and if you have a chance, visit us at graftedin.com.